Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are going to take another look at Kaiju number 8. Surprise, surprise, surprise! And I just wanted to take a closer look at something that I noted in my Chapter 37 full spoiler review, so there will be spoilers in this. But it was just a beautiful little moment that the creators put in. Nothing earth-shaking, nothing that is super plot relevant, but it does show continuity, not just in the story, but in the emotions and in the relationships between the characters. And it just builds on the characters so beautifully. And it all focuses around Kikoru Shinamiya's zippers. So in the daily uniforms that the Defense Force officers wear, their uniforms are a bit baggy compared to standard military uniforms because they're meant to go on over their combat suits. So your average Defense Force officer might be wearing a combat suit under their everyday uniform, or they might not. You just don't know. So the everyday uniform is a bit bulkier. It has a white line around the top, the hem, where it rubs against your chin. Most uniform coats have this because if you don't have like a silk hem there, it will really chafe your neck. Very irritating. It's got one zipper going down and a very flat shoulder pauldron out away from the neck. It's a very distinctive make. It's a little bit baggy, and there's a bit of play that the neck has in it. However, the combat uniforms, they cling much tighter to the neck, and most importantly, they have two small... Well, what they are actually are vents that vent steam after the combat uniform has been running for too long and is getting close to an overheat. The standard version has two about an inch up the neck and an inch from the top of the uniform. And it's very distinctive, so you can really tell at a glance whether someone is wearing the overcoat or just the combat suit. Interestingly enough, Shinamiya Sr.'s Big Daddy General Shinamiya, he has 4 vents. That's either because his uniform is an older model and therefore needed 4 vents in the same way that the old steam trains needed those massive cones on top, or his suit is just so powerful that it releases that much more steam. But anyway, you have those, and so it makes the neck of the combat uniform distinctly different from the neck of the overcoat. Also, the pauldrons on the combat uniforms are flared to, generally that design is to give more range of movement when you're swinging your arms around, and as the pauldrons on the overcoat are just cloth, they automatically have the movement built in, but the combat uniform pauldrons they're probably something a bit sturdier to actually protect the shoulders, so they need those flares so the officers can move their arm more freely. Now, if you've seen actual combat armor pauldrons, most of them don't have that flare, but this might just be a visual thing. The creators are telling us that these are people who need to swing their arms around a lot, especially Vice Captain Hoshina. Be that as it may, I'd just like to note that the necks of the zipped up uniform and combat uniform and overcoat are distinctly different and easy to notice at a glance. Why am I going off about the design features of these uniforms? Number one, they're cool as all get out, and I think this would be fairly easy to cosplay if you have some basic sewing skills, and I'm thinking I might be doing a cosplay at the Alien Days Festival this year. Anyway, we're looking at Kikoru's uniform, and we're looking at Kikoru's relationship with her father and her relationship with Kafka and her general sense of honor and duty as an officer. So, Chapter 37. Kaiju number 8 has gone completely kaiju. The little guy, the bug kaiju, has completely taken over control, and no matter what's going on, whether he is just an innocent who's been pushed too far and is confused by the situation, or he's actually trying to kill the Director General, he is beating the bloody snot out of Director General Shinamiya. And Kikoru is watching from the observation platform. And Kafka, he is intensely disturbed by this, and he swears that he will not be the one to kill Kikoru's father in front of her. And as he's swearing this, we can look up, we see her. She is clearly wearing the outer overcoat. It is zipped all the way up. Interesting, you can't see the zipper when it's zipped all the way up. I guess it's folded in behind the neck. Anyway, she's clearly wearing her overcoat. In the next scene, on the next page, next time we see her eyes are wide open, she's freaking out, and she remembers her pledge to Kafka, the one that he agreed to wholeheartedly, where she says, if it turns out you're just another kaiju out to harm humanity, then I will kill you. And it's the next page, the next panel when we see this, and she's got her overcoat zipped down to her neck, revealing that she has her combat uniform on underneath. You can clearly see both vents and how it clings so tightly to her neck. Her eyes are bugged out in a sort of panicked desperation. She looks like she's going to make the hard decision to jump in and take out Kaiju number 8 and Kafka. But then it flashes back to what their relationship has been, the love and affection that he's been giving her, the support, the brotherly support that he's just provided for her. And she says, I know what he is, but I still want to believe in him. And in this next panel, she's got tears in her eyes. Her overcoat is zipped down all the way to her sternum, revealing the bones that protect your neck from breaking. The ones on the front, they've got extra protection here. And actually, looking at it now, those might actually provide a third and fourth vent as well. But anyway, you can clearly see the difference in design in the combat uniform underneath and the overcoat. And Kafka is struggling to break free of the flesh prison that's holding him. And she's screaming out, support to him in her special Kikoru way. Don't you dare give in to some kaiju, Kafka, you clod. And just, gotta love Kikoru. But Kafka gets chomped by the bug kaiju. Now, what happens next to Kafka? That's I've done a whole nother video on it. Did he really seize control back from the little guy, or did the little guy give him back control of his shared body? Hard to say at this point. No proof one way or the other. But he does regain control. And in what he thinks is absolutely necessary movement, he takes the hand that's going out to punch Commander Shinomiya, and he redirects it and pierces his own heart. Now, we know this is not a fatal blow by the medical standards of the Kaiju Defense Force, especially because he's right there where he can get instant medical care. We've seen Kikoru and Rino and Aiharu all take damage to their chests of similar levels. Now, we don't know how this will be complicated by the presence of the Corps, but on the one hand, I think the Defense Force is going to be pretty happy with this because they can get their doctors in there, and they have a legitimate reason now to carve open his chest and see what makes him tick. But that's not the point. On the page after, everybody's witnessed Kaiju number 8 just pound his fingers into his chest and bury it up to his wrist, grabbing his core. We see another picture of Kikoru, and importantly, we see her neck. Now, not only is she still wearing her overcoat, she has zipped it back up. You can see that it's loose around the neck. There are no vents whatsoever, and the pauldron is tight to the shoulder, meaning that after she had started to unzip her coat to prepare to get in there and kill Kafka, as a show of faith in her brother-in-arms, during the worst part of her fight, when it looked like her father was about to die, she zipped her coat back up and patiently waited for the scene to play out. That is a tremendous show of faith. And it could not legitimately, storytelling-wise, come from anyone except someone like Kikoru, who has these super strong convictions almost amounting to, what's the word? It's not mania. Fanaticism. No one dies on her watch. No one died. There's no casualties, no dropouts on any battlefield that she steps foot on. This is her intense level of dedication. This is we've seen this before, this trait, her willingness to put her own life on the line. But this shows it in a new light. She was willing to put her father's life on the line and to put Kafka's life on the line, because she could have jumped in. At this point, she probably could have subdued Kafka without killing him. She could have technically saved both their lives, but that would have meant Kafka couldn't control himself. That would have meant if she stepped in, Kafka would have been, at the very least, permanently put under house arrest because they couldn't trust him, because their strongest warrior, General Shinomiya, wasn't able to frighten him into behaving. It took two of their strongest to take him down. And this is both a show of faith in Kafka and an act of love on her part, sacrificing her own fears and her own uneasiness follow up on her actual faith in Kafka. And this was just a beautiful little scene, and it's tucked in there in the fight. And I think I've already got 6 videos done on this one chapter alone. These creators are amazing. There's just so much in here. I think I want to put it, the resolution of the story is so high, it's almost like you're looking at real life. And for a manga that has that very shonen low toner to surface area count and the really short number of lines, and that often falls back on the manga tradition of a low resolution images, the story is super high resolution. There's so much going in here. There's so much packed in here. And I just love this display of love. And again, that appears to be one of the reoccurring things in this show. Love. As C.S. Lewis would put it, this is either agape or philia, brotherly love, or the true, divine, selfless, self-sacrificing love, or as it usually is in real life, a mixture of both, tainted, of course, by all of the selfishness and fear and just humanity of the real world. But think about it. Love is what's driving the show. It's Kafka's love of Mina, and at this point, we don't even know if that's romantic love. It does appear, given how much older than her he was, given the fact that they were childhood friends, it could just be philia, brotherly love, family love. But it was his love of her that drove him forward. He used his general love of humanity to soothe himself when he was so disappointed with his job. He's doing a good public service. He's taking care of people. It was Kafka's love of people, genuine love of humanity, not just a specific friend, that drove him to rescue that little girl in the beginning, and that was the action that solidified his determination to go on. It was Reno's love of Kafka, his brother, again, that philia, that brotherly love, that caused Reno to stick beside Kafka, keep him calm, and keep him from getting killed by the defense force on the first night that he transformed. And it was the general brothers-in-arms combat soldier love that we see, that the series really focuses on developing between all of the soldiers, between Manasseh and I can't remember the Three Stooges and their names, but anyway, it has just been a running theme. The philia, the agape, the just genuine brotherly love that exists between these characters. And I think that is one of the things that makes this series so dang wholesome. I recently went through and I binge read well over 100 chapters of My Hero Academia because I'd fallen behind, and as much as I enjoyed it, it did leave me somewhat depressed feeling. And I then went back and reread a few chapters of Kaiju number 8, and it just lifted my spirits so much. And it's kind of perplexing to me because they're both kind of darker, we're doing in darker arcs, but something about Kaiju number 8 is just good and pure and wholesome, and I am enjoying it down to every fiber of my being. This is the first manga that I've truly enjoyed on this level in years, and it's rapidly becoming my favorite manga. The only problem is that when you start with this high of expectations so early on in the first 3 books, the crash can be bad if the author fails to stick the landing. But I am willing to kind of put my faith in the creators here. I think they're going to be able to stick the landing. And just given the setup of this world, the story is defined by its problems. And the kaiju in this world are presented as sort of a never-ending problem. They're just a natural disaster. And those kind of manga can go on, well, I mean, they can One Piece their way into infinity, really. Or to, the author's inevitable, well, let's not talk about that. But anyway, Kikoru, amazing, best girl. She has shown her true sisterly love for Kafka, her dedication to the morals and the code that her father taught her. No one dies on her watch, even if that means she has to step back, bite back her own ego, and let horrific things play out in front of her. She's going to have faith in her troops, or she's going to have faith in the people she has judged worthy of that faith. And I actually think this moment will strengthen Commander Shinamayo's respect for her daughter, because she was right. Against all odds, against all appearances, her judgment of Kafka and her judgment of the Kaiju number 8 situation was 100% right. So that's my 2 cents. Well, I think you got more than 2 cents worth. Go check out my book, Humans Are Weird. I have the data, a collection of human absurdities. If you want to break your heart, check out Dying Embers, Dragons, Aliens, and Things That Go Boom in the Night. And if you want an audiobook to help you get through to the next chapter release, you can follow the instructions and email me, and I can sell you the link to my audiobook, or you can just wait a month until it comes out formally on Audible as soon as I get the audio confirmed. Peace out, my wonderful viewers.
The book from author Betty Adams, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, is a humorous look at human behavior through the eyes of aliens. This book is arranged in separate reports or essays, documenting the experiences with humanity through the lens of the aliens who have to interact with them. This anthology of short stories and vignettes from alien points of view highlights some of humanity's quirks we can all relate to. Author Betty Adams captures how strange and interesting humans can really be. This is a fun collection of stories you will really get a kick out of. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, from author Betty Adams. Order your copy right now on Amazon.